guys, I'm Parenteau, and today we're going to go over the topspin two-handed backhand from behind the kitchen line. We're going to talk about the disadvantages and advantages of having a two-handed backhand behind the kitchen line, and I'm also going to show you my favorite way to drill my two-handed backhand. Alright, so the first thing you have to make sure when you hit a two-handed backhand is let's talk about the hands positioning on the paddle. So I'm righty. This is how I hold my paddle. My right hand is at the bottom of my grip here, Eastern grip, and then my second non-dominant hand is going to just go on top here. When I want to hit a two-handed backhand, I want to make sure I drop my paddle face below my wrist here. I'm going to make sure my contact point is slightly to the left of my foot. I don't want to be turned. So if I'm dinking with Athena here, I don't want to be turned facing the wall. I want to make sure I'm facing her. So again, my grip here, drop the paddle face, make sure my contact point is slightly to my left. And I'm going to let Athena talk a little bit more about the contact point on the ball.
So the way we'll describe the ball in terms of where you want to make contact, this would be considered the back of the ball. This is the top. This is the bottom. When you're hitting this backhand dink, you ideally would like to make contact with the ball in between the back and the bottom of the ball. So if you make contact right about here and you have that low to high motion, that's pretty much what you're looking for, okay? Now, in terms of positioning, do I want my two-handed backhand dink to be closer to the middle of the court if I'm over here on the left side? Or do I want it to have a sharp angle and be more cross-court? So that is when I decide, in terms of this ball, do I want to make contact directly behind the ball? Now that ball's going to go straight. The more I move my contact point to my left and I hit the exterior of the ball, that's going to result in the ball having more of an angle.
So I'm going to hit the outside of the ball. I want to make sure I do a little bit more of a low to high motion instead of going straight towards my target on the other side. So again, I'm going to go low to high and I'm going to follow through towards my target on the other side. You want to make sure that your left hand is doing most of the work when it comes to dinking with your two hands. So your right hand is basically going to hold the paddle at about 2 out of 10 of pressure. 0 out of 10, it's like super loose in your hand. 10 out of 10, you're gripping very hard. And then your left hand, you want about 8 out of 10. You really want to make sure that your left hand is doing most of the work. Your right hand is basically there just to go along the ride. All right, we're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of hitting a two-handed topspin backhand. So one of the main ones is that you have a lot more control when it comes to two hands. It's very hard to topspin with just one hand. You have a lot more control with two hands. You can put more pace on the ball. You can be more aggressive. And it's also easier to speed up in a way. A lot of the time we see people kind of just hitting slice. They're slicing their dinks and then out of a sudden they put two hands on their paddle. Then we know it's coming. But in that case, if you have a two-handed backhand topspin, then you can kind of just, you're dinking, and out of a sudden you can speed up wherever you want, and they don't really know it's coming. So you're a little bit less predictable when it comes to two hands.
And then the disadvantages are basically with one hand you can reach further than you would be able to with two. So sometimes if I'm dinking and Catherine happens to hit a dink that's really wide and that's pretty far from me, for me to get there in the position that I want to and hit a good two-handed backhand dink is probably harder than me being able to get there with one, just because I can reach further and can get there in less time and hit that one-handed backhand dink.
It's very hard to topspin. We talked about it. You want to make sure that you really use your legs to go around the ball and try to hit it on the outside of your left leg here. So if you ever get jammed here, the ball comes straight at you. Sometimes it's just easier to let go of one hand and just kind of reset it flat like a dead dink. Or you can also just use two hands, but just make sure you don't do the low to high motion because that's very hard to control it. So if we show an example, I'll show you my favorite drill actually that I like to work on whenever I need to work on my two-handed backhand. So I'm going to go with Athena. She's just going to basically feed me or hit dinks back to me. And I'm only going to be able to hit my dinks with my left hand on my paddle, okay? As if I'm holding my two hands here, two hands on my paddle, but instead of holding two hands, I'm only going to hold it with my left hand. So this is how it should look like. I'm going to drop my paddle face, and really make sure that I go low to high. Try to rotate the ball. Make sure I'm also my footwork. Make sure it's not in front of me, it's to the side here. Again, it's the left hand that does most of the work here. Then once I feel good, after I would say a few minutes of drilling like this, I'm gonna add my second hand, and again, I'm squeezing my left hand, and my right hand should have no tension. Shouldn't have any tension on the paddle here. So squeezing my left while I'm just letting my right hand rest on my paddle. Perfect. Thank you guys for watching my video on how to hit a two-handed backhand topspin. Make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.
I don't see why I need to be in this introduction.
Well, because I'm dinking with you. And we're also going to talk about my favorite way on how to practice my two-handed. No, I don't like that. We're going to go over... I messed up again.
Just remember throughout the whole day today, you don't have to speak fast.
I know.
You can take your time. Yeah, exactly. It's a YouTube, they can cut, they can edit, they can take you out.
Okay, we'll try to
walk super fast.
Slow,
just
like
run towards him.
A topspin two-handed backhand. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. Oh shoot, the YouTube channel.